What's going on, guys? It's another exciting day. Bitcoin broke out of $60,000. Just seems like it's not letting off. And while Bitcoin's running, it looks like some of the miners are pulling back. And you know, for those of you that have been around for a long time, you already know what's up. But there are going to be days like this where Bitcoin's either moving up or down and the miners are seemingly doing the opposite. They aren't going to trade hand in hand every day. But overall, I do expect a lot of the miners to outperform Bitcoin, as we have been seeing. CleanSpark is up around 10x from its bottom, while Bitcoin's roughly around 4x from its bottom. I do expect overall to continue to see that. There are going to be days, however, where Bitcoin's up 5% or something and CleanSpark's down, and people are like, why is this happening? Reasons why this could be happening are dilution. It'd be wise for the company to sell after a run-up like this. Other reasons are, for one, CleanSpark's a little more overbought on the chart compared to Bitcoin, because it did recently run from like the 7s all the way to 20. And of course, there's other factors at play. For instance, maybe people are thinking about profit taking as we approach the halving, and there's a little bit of uncertainty in the miners. I would take any weakness in the miners moving forwards as a chance to add. But anyways, we're going to kind of go over why Bitcoin has green days while miners don't sometimes. We're going to go over some interesting things happening for Ethereum. Ethereum's also breaking out to new 52-week highs. And we're going to talk about a few other things along the way. Now, if you guys get something useful out of this video, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Check out the links down below for some free stocks and cryptos. And consider joining my membership for $2 a month to show your support. Now, Bitcoin's been running, and we'll look over Bitcoin on the chart in a second here. But I want to talk about this article and an interesting point. We have Matrixport, who has been wrong in the past, but they warn of market euphoria and a correction after Bitcoin's 60,000 milestone. Well, we reached 60,000. When is the pullback coming? Well, this Matrixport representative said the sentiment for the market has come to a level where I think we should be cautious. I think we should see another healthy 15% correction by end of April. And in explaining the rationale, they said March is a tricky one. From a macro perspective, we have the upcoming Fed meeting, we have the Bitcoin halving approaching, and they decided to mention Ethereum's Dancun upgrade. I wouldn't expect that to draw any hype away from Bitcoin, but you never know. Here's something interesting, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Data from the Crypto Fear and Greed Index currently shows a score of 82 of 100, indicating extreme greed. You know, Bitcoin isn't just going to go up and to the right in perpetuity. There will be pullbacks along the way. But let me know, guys, do you think we'll see a pullback before the halving or right after the halving as the market tries to create a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event? From the way things are looking at now, it seems like we'll continue to see huge inflows in these spot Bitcoin ETFs, and any potential correction will likely be a small one. But the market is definitely getting euphoric with Bitcoin. We haven't seen an overbought weekly RSI at this level in this cycle yet. But keep in mind, we could see a much more overbought RSI before we really start seeing a pretty sizable correction. Back in January of 2021, we saw about a 25% correction as Bitcoin broke out of roughly 20,000 and headed all the way to 40,000. So we could definitely see a more overbought weekly. Keep in mind that we're in kind of sketchy water here. And this is why you buy throughout the bear market. You buy throughout 2022, throughout 2023. You don't have to rack your brain. You don't have to worry about, oh shit, I didn't get enough Bitcoin. Should I be buying here? To me, that's a situation you don't want to necessarily have to be in. You want to buy throughout the bear market and then either hold or just slowly DCA throughout most of the bull run until it's time to trim some off the table or exit and re-enter in the bear market. Up to your strategy. But for those of you that don't have enough Bitcoin yet, for those of you worried, oh, should I get in? I don't want to miss this huge rally. I would say DCA is the best way to go. If we do see a sizable correction, you'll have cash ready to be able to buy in. And if we don't see a sizable correction, say if we run towards all-time high, towards 70,000 before pulling back, and maybe 65 becomes a new floor, well, you'll be glad that you at least DCA'd through it. And while Bitcoin does seem like it's kind of topping out from a chart perspective, it could definitely keep running. But with greed where it's at, with the RSI where it's at on the weekly, on the 4-hour, on the daily, the technical side of me wants to say that Bitcoin will see a good retracement. However, we just keep seeing record inflows. The grayscale selling is drying up. We are so close to the halving. We're so close to retail FOMOing in. It's really hard to say where Bitcoin goes from here. It's really hard to say if we'll see a correction before the halving. If we'll see one, I mean, we will see one eventually, but will we see a sizable correction, a great chance to enter before the halving? We'll have to wait and see. No one has the answer to that. My best answer is dollar cost average throughout, knowing that Bitcoin will be much higher by the end of 2024 and throughout 2025. Now, we've got a lot of people complaining the Bitcoin miners are down while Bitcoin is breaking new 52-week highs, and this does happen from time to time. If you've been around this space for a while, you'll know this is nothing new. And to be completely honest, guys, those comments drive me crazy. I've probably gotten about 100 of those comments, and they do start getting irritating over time. There are going to be days where Bitcoin's up massively and CleanSpark's pulling back. And you scratch your head and you're like, why is this going on? Why isn't CleanSpark continuing to make 52-week highs as Bitcoin makes 52-week highs? And one reason for that is there's a company behind this. There could be dilution going on as we ran up so massively. It would be smart for CleanSpark to dilute here and give them access to more funds for future growth. It could be simply profit takers as we've ran up so much. People are starting to think, well, you know, this is a volatile stock. Last time we ran up like this, last time we saw an RSI even lower than this, not as overbought as we are here, we did see a pretty sizable correction. Maybe the market's expecting something like that. We were down about 50% from this recent peak to the bottom. For us to pull 50% from our recent peak here to the bottom, you'd be looking at about an $11 CleanSpark share. I personally find that somewhat unlikely. Seeing as they hit profitability, there's a lot of hype in this company. There's a lot of strength, a lot of buying pressure still, although today it doesn't seem like it. You know, I personally find a 50% retracement for CleanSpark sort of unlikely. 20%, 30%, very possible. Maybe we head back to the 14s and I'd welcome it. But you got to realize they aren't going to correlate hand in hand every day. And one thing to realize is just a few days ago, CleanSpark had a double-digit day, like a 25% up day, while Bitcoin had like a 3% up day. So after days like that, it is very typical to see a red day on CleanSpark where you see a green day on Bitcoin. In the end, I still absolutely expect CleanSpark to outperform Bitcoin. It's already nearly 10x from its bottom, whereas Bitcoin's right around 300% from its bottom. So overall, I do expect CleanSpark to continue to outperform Bitcoin, probably at a factor of 2 or 3 times. Whereas if Bitcoin 2x's, CleanSpark will 3 to 4x. There are going to be days like this where CleanSpark's down and Bitcoin's up. It's going to happen. I also want to feature this article. I'll leave it down below for you. But Bernstein says 2 Bitcoin mining stocks are must buys. And this goes to CleanSpark and Riot. And in this article, they mention CleanSpark and their Mississippi acquisition, also their additional construction in Dalton, Georgia. And I'll leave you guys a link at the end screen going over my video covering that. They also mention Riot and their Corsicana factory. And this is something interesting they mention, and it's kind of like a cascading or a snowball effect. But the Bernstein report also identified Bitcoin ETF inflows as an additional bullish indicator. But this is where it's interesting. The overall market will lean bullish, and reflexivity should ensure a higher price, higher inflow feedback loop. We see Bitcoin go up in price, we see more inflows because of the hype drawing in. And it's kind of a rubber banding effect, snowball effect, I don't know what you want to call it. But one basically feeds the other and the other feeds the other and it continues running. Now I also want to touch on Ethereum and we'll go over the Dancun upgrade. I'm looking at Ethereum on the chart, kind of similar to Bitcoin. Looking overbought on the weekly. However, just like Bitcoin, we have seen a much more overbought weekly RSI. But this was in the following year, cycle wise. So this would be like 2025 for this cycle, but in 2021 we saw a very overbought weekly, and you know, there were little corrections along the way, but they were buying opportunities, and Ethereum only went higher in price, similar to Bitcoin. And while Ethereum, Bitcoin, a lot of the market saw a huge correction from like February to April throughout March. This is due to something that won't happen this cycle. Maybe the market sells off in fear that we'll see a similar halving cycle in terms of those months, but we aren't going to deal with a world health event like we did that cycle. And you better believe if we do see a harsh correction in March, it would be a fantastic buying opportunity. But Ethereum just continues to do well. I would watch this ascending support line. If we do break it, might indicate that we're topping out and due to correct a little. But I am very bullish on Ethereum. We also have the spot ETFs coming, the deadline coming at least, and that should draw in more hype for Ethereum. I also want to talk about the Dancun upgrade for Ethereum, and Grayscale says that this is a coming of age event for Ethereum. And if Grayscale's saying this, you better believe that the market's listening. But basically this Dancun upgrade will significantly lower the cost of roll-up transactions, which is expected to impact the use of other chains, other cryptos like Arbitrum and Base. So this sort of helps other coins on Ethereum's ecosystem. And the Dancun upgrade should solve these problems of slow transaction speeds, low throughput, and high cost for its users. So there is a lot coming for Ethereum with this upgrade, and also with the potential spot ETF hype. We should continue to see Ethereum perform very well over the next couple months. But let me know what you guys think about today. It's definitely an exciting day seeing Bitcoin break out, but it's a little bittersweet seeing the miners not performing as well, specifically CleanSpark. However, this should somewhat be expected. When you see these huge runs, there are going to be some profit taking, and maybe CleanSpark's topping out a bit here due to pullback and give us some great entry prices. But let me know where you guys think Bitcoin's going. Do you think we're going to see an all-time high for Bitcoin before the halving? We're getting awful close now. And also, do you think the Bitcoin miners will give us a great buying opportunity? Will they sell off before the halving in anticipation of rewards getting cut? In my opinion, if they do, that'll be a fantastic time to buy. If they don't, I think it's still good to just DCA. I think the way to go with these cryptos is still to DCA, still to build up the positions if you haven't, within reason. And I see these cryptos, Bitcoin miners, what have you, as a good ad over the next maybe 3 to 6 months or so, before it's probably time to just settle on holding, start selling potentially. But I do still believe now is the time to continue to load up and try to keep some cash aside for the dip. I know a lot of people hate hearing that. It's obviously easier said than done, but you definitely want to be ready for any potential dip if they do come. And thanks again for watching, guys. Let me know what you're looking for in the market right now. What cryptos are you playing right now? Thanks as always for watching, guys, and see you next time.